Good morning, Year 5, and welcome to our next lesson on volume and capacity. We're going to start this morning with a maths warm-up from Education City. I'd like you first to go to the Massive Measures Learn screen to remind you how to convert between the measures milligrams, grams and kilograms. This is a great practice for multiplying and dividing by 1,000. When you finish reminding yourself, pop onto the activity and have a practice for yourself. You can pause the screen here and unpause me when you're ready to continue. So today's lesson is to estimate capacity, and that's so that we can answer questions like this when we ask how much do we think an object might hold. To be able to do this, we're going to practice two key skills. The first skill is to use our knowledge of measure to estimate the capacity of an object, and the second skill is to solve worded problems and worded questions involving estimating capacity. So let's have a look at this first one. We've got 3 bottles. We're told that bottle A holds 300 millilitres of liquid. The question is, what is the capacity of B and C? So have a think. What will we first need to consider, and how can we calculate the answer? We must remember that when we're estimating, we're using educated guesses. We're not just plucking numbers out of the air. We must think very, very carefully about how much a container would hold. So first of all, we need to consider the size of the objects. How much bigger or how much smaller is the bottle compared to the one we know the capacity of? Then we can use our multiplication and division skills to calculate the answer. So if we look at this first one here, this bottle is probably about 3 times bigger than bottle B. So to estimate the capacity, I would say 300 millilitres divided by 3 is 100 millilitres, and I'd make a sensible estimate that this bottle would hold 100 millilitres. Now, bottle C is much bigger. It's possibly about 4 times bigger than bottle A. So this time we can say 300 millilitres multiplied by 4 is 1,200 millilitres. Hopefully you all understand that we can use our mathematical skills to help us to estimate the capacity. Here's another style of question you might get asked. There's 200 millilitres of water in this container. Estimate the capacity of the container. Well, having a good look at the container, I can see there's about 1/5 of the container filled with water. So to be able to find the capacity, I estimate that 200 millilitres times 5 would give me an estimated capacity of 1,000 millilitres. That would be a sensible guess. Okay, so the question we have here is how many times bigger than A are bottles B and C? We're told that bottle A holds 450 millilitres. Bottle B, how much bigger do you think that is? Well, I think it's probably about 3 times as big as bottle A. And I would think that it would probably hold about 1,350 millilitres, which is 450 millilitres multiplied by 3. Now, bottle C is even bigger. I would approximate that it's probably 10 times bigger. And that would give an estimated capacity of 4,500 millilitres, which is 450 multiplied by 10. In this jug, there's 550 millilitres of water. How much do you think the container can hold? Well, there's not a lot of room left, is there? So I would estimate that there's probably about 650 millilitres of capacity that this jug would hold. Okay, so these are the show me questions. You may pause me in a second. I'd like you to estimate the capacity of B and C for this question, and then have a go and tell me what you think the capacity of the container will be. When you're done, unpause me and I'll let you have the answers. Okay, so the capacity of B is approximately 200 millilitres. Okay. It's quite a bit smaller than A, more than half its size. Bottle C, the answer is 1,400 millilitres because I estimate that it's double the size of bottle A. So I can just multiply 700 millilitres by 2. The jug here, I would estimate, would hold 450 millilitres of water. That's because I think there's approximately a third of the water in there already. So I can just multiply 150 millilitres times 3. Well done if you got around those answers. So for skill 2, okay, this is the question that we're given. Container A is full of rice. Estimate how many of container A would fill container B. This time we're being asked to estimate when we're comparing the sizes of the containers. Okay, if I had one of A, how many times would I be able to fill it with rice? So for that, I would approximate that it would probably need about 8 times to fill this container. That would be a sensible guess. If you were thinking of anything between sort of 7 and 9, give yourself a pat on the back. Okay, here's another one. Estimate how many cups of rice it would take to fill containers A and B. Well, this container isn't very big, and these are quite big. I would estimate that the red container would probably need to be filled and emptied 10 times to fill container A. Now, looking at this container that's even bigger, probably 3 times larger, I would say it would probably take about 30 of the red cups to fill this. So 3 times the 10 cups that I estimated for A. Okay, this is the show me question. Bucket A is full of sand. Estimate how many of container A would fill container B. Have a look at the containers, pause the video, and when you've got an answer, unpause me and I'll let you know if you're right. Well, bucket B is significantly bigger. I estimate that it would probably take about 8 of bucket A to fill bucket B. If you got between the answers 7 and 9, again, I would give you a mark for that answer. Okay, now you could practice estimating in this way using plastic containers and a beaker or beakers at home. However, you must first ask an adult and not make a mess all over mum or dad's kitchen. Now, the weather is absolutely glorious today, so you could find a shaded outdoor area where you could practice. We're all aware that we need to be really, really sensible with our natural resources, and water is one of those. So if you're filling up, you could, when you're absolutely finished with it, help mum and dad by watering the garden. Please don't just tip it away down the drain because it could be used for something. Now, you may begin on the bronze and silver activities that are on the school website. When you've completed those, you can mark them, check that you've done well with your estimating. When you've marked, please listen to the gold explanation before moving on. Okay, so we're moving our learning on in this way. My question to you that I'd like you to think about is, what will we need to do first? Jasper says, I put 22 sweets in this jar. I estimate that this jar has a capacity of 80 sweets. Do you agree with this estimate? Explain why. I think the first thing we need to do is to have a look at the jar and see how full it is now with the 22 sweets. And then we'll be able to make a sensible estimate on how much the capacity of the jar could be. Good luck with that question. I'd like you now to carry on with gold, platinum and emerald. When you've finished, please check your answers, and I've left a reflection shape there for you too. What challenges have you overcome today? Hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.